Have you ever found yourself saying, it feels like I'm allergic to exercise? If you feel this way, there might actually be more truth to this than we realize. I'm a strength coach who works with people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and one of the common comorbidities of Ehlers-Danlos, and particularly hypermobile type, is MCAS, or mast cell activation syndrome. Mast cells are these little cells that live across our whole body, and they release a bunch of different things when they're triggered. One of the things that they release is histamine. Histamine is associated with allergic responses, hence why when we have allergies, we often take an antihistamine. Now, in people with MCAS, we can have these weirdly overactive mast cells. When mast cells become overactive, or just when they're triggered, they release things. It might be histamine, or it might be one of the other many different things that they release in the body. With MCAS, we can have these overly responsive mast cells. So it's like they have this heightened sensitivity and they respond to a lot more things than other people's mast cells would. Some of these triggers we might have might be environmental things, different foods, stress, especially big stresses, and we can even have heightened mast cell responses during phases of our menstrual cycle, pregnancy, and other big hormonal changes. How does this relate back to exercise? Well, exercise is a great, positive, wonderful thing, but it also is a stressor on our body. Stressor does not necessarily mean bad, it just means that it's demanding things of our body. From talking to a lot of people with HEDS, it seems like at certain times, exercise may actually become a trigger for heightened mast cell activity. This is not to say that exercise is bad. I'm an exercise scientist. I love it. I do it all the time. But it's more to say that if you're getting this weird response to exercise, firstly, it's not all in your head. And secondly, if this is the trigger, then we may be able to make some adjustments and improve the outcomes of exercise for you. As a quick side note, mast cells don't just release histamine, they release a bunch of different things. There are a lot of different effects that they can have across the body that don't necessarily look like allergy responses. Let's talk about now what we can do about it if you're experiencing this. The first thing is, and this is kind of outside of my wheelhouse, but there are actually medications that we can take and environmental changes we can make to help stabilize our mast cells. If you want to go down this path, I would be talking to a doctor who specifically knows about MCAS. You can look into some dietary changes, find out what is triggering you and reduce those down so that you have this reduction in, hopefully, in your symptoms. From an exercise standpoint, something I've noticed is when talking to people who get these MCAS style symptoms after a workout, it's usually after their bigger or more intense workouts. So my suggestion then would actually be to space out your workouts a little bit more or do some kind of modification to them so you're doing less work in each session. I know this is hard if you've got this go hard or go home mentality, but unfortunately we have to deal with the circumstances that we've been given. And if you are getting a mast cell trigger from a big workout, it might be really worthwhile reducing that load down for a while your body adapts to that form of exercise. The great news is our body is so resilient, it adapts to stress. So this hopefully won't be a forever thing. It might just be now while you're having a flare up, or while you're getting acclimatized to this form of exercise that we need to make this adjustment. So think about reducing total exercise amount or workload during the session.